have you been? How is the holiday? I'm trying to figure out the best angle for this. Kind of different. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. Bang, bang, bang. Right. Aha! A cheat code. There we go. So, how's it going? My name is Jaws Blake, as you well know. I am the host of Painter Files, this lovely channel on YouTube. Please subscribe. Always love to see new people. This is the Painter's Breakfast. A synopsis of the show on a basic level is I am a painter, and this is how I start my Mondays. I always try and have like a nice kind of breakfast that gets me going and gets me through the rest of the day. I don't always remember to feed myself throughout the day, so I did something a little simple today. Ramen with veggie sausage. This was like a really big meal for me when I was younger, in my 20s. I'm in my 40s now, so that should give you kind of a perspective. And yeah, it was just the food of choice that I went with. You take some noodles, you spice them up, and then you add some protein. Eggs work. There's a lot of stuff that works. I don't eat meat, so I do, like I said, I do veggie, I do eggs, I do fish. I'm not a vegetarian, I'm a pescatarian. I grew up in a very like West Indian, Afro-Latino background. So there's a lot of foods that go together that work really well, but they're very different foods than per se what people would normally do. I'm not really a hot dog person, if that's a thing. Today's Labor Day. I don't have a good speech for Labor Day. The thing that really comes to mind is I worked my way up to the point where I am now. And in that, I had a lot of points where I ate kind of lesser meals. And this is not necessarily the healthiest meal. So, what did you eat growing up that's like a meal that you still go back to every once in a while? But like as adults, you're just like, okay. It just kind of like comes to you. Hey, hey Clouds, how are you? I just think like a lot of it kind of connects to you on like a deeper level. Food is kind of one of those qualifiers that, in a lot of ways, kind of brings people together. And depending on where you are in the world, food can be how people show you they love you and their affections. They don't always necessarily say that. So, it's not always stated. So, food can be one of those things that really kind of grabs you. A lot of my family is from like I have a large like West Indian family. And in the West Indian family, there's a lot of people who are Asian. They're South Asians, there's a little bit of kind of Western Asians. And so the concept of like a mukbang or anything of that nature was always kind of present, even if I didn't know the words. They would always kind of do those things. In the South, they refer to it as just a potluck. And the potluck is just a bunch of things you find everybody brings something, and then it all kind of comes together. remember always just feeling like really connected when my friends and my friends' families would like invite me over for food and meals because I was trying things I'd never tried before on so many different levels and food wise, food wise, and it was just interesting. I don't know. It was it was food from all backgrounds and all types of different places in the world, and even places in America where you were trying things that nobody else had really exposed you to. It was really cool. Who wants to watch you eat? Says Trut. Hello and greetings from Arizona, says Mark. Hello, Mark. How are you? I mean, Trut, you're here, so I mean, you're watching me eat food while we have kind of a conversation. So, that is an interesting question to ask. Do you have any other questions you'd like to ask? I normally answer a lot of art questions during this time. This is more just kind of like we're having breakfast or lunch together. And we're like just shooting it. Is more what it's actually about. It's less about. People have made it about the food, but it's not really about the food. But it's funny that people ask that every once in a while. Every once in a while, someone will ask that. They're like, why are you just eating? Because I am. Side note, look at that chopstick. Look at that. Your boy grew up doing this, so the skills are always there. Nothing's falling. I was surprised to find out years ago that like a lot of people weren't good with chopsticks. Because I grew up just using them all my life. So many different places and like different types of foods and all types of things. Nice chopstick work. Okay. I just think it's funny. Let me see. Scuba Steve. Hello, Scuba Steve. I just think it's funny. I didn't realize that this was that difficult for people. Like, they don't have that ability to do that. And it's just kind of interesting. I've seen, like, all these people who, like, they got, like, tie stuff, and they got, there's, like, chopsticks that are still stuck together, and it's just interesting to me because it was such like a second nature thing for me growing up. So it's just kind of funny. It's fine to me anyways. I watch people when I go out like really struggle with chopsticks. Like, there's nothing quite like watching someone try and eat like eat sushi with a fork. It's just like, wow, okay. I get that. I get stares when I use chopsticks. I guess I'm too white. Scuba Steve. I mean, I don't really know. Well, yeah, I guess maybe that's probably why. I think it's always interesting because it's like a shared cultural experience with chopsticks. It's not like you go to like a place, well, you might, but it's not like you're going to a place, some local sushi place, and like you're in full kimono and there's all this stuff going on. Mr. Kruger, 007, you can start little by little. I started by rubber bands at the ends of it. Yeah, I mean, that works. That definitely works. I think I started doing chopsticks when I was like a kid. Well, I know I started doing them when I was a kid, but I don't remember the age. Like, I could have been like 5 or 6 maybe. And my mom took me to hang out with my cousins who were Korean, And in Korea, they also use chopsticks on occasion, and they were just ways that people. I was like, "Oh, you guys eat like that? That's really cool. Could you show me?" And they're like, "Yeah." And somebody held my hand, and they did the thing, and eventually it made sense. Steve says, I've used chopsticks for 30 years. Yeah, it's got to be over 30 years for me. I just didn't realize it was like such a special thing for some people. Like I just have them. I just had them. They were like gifts that my family gave me when I moved out of my house. They're like, all right, so you need utensils, and chopsticks, and bowls, and plates, and so I just had them. I've always had them. And you eat what you eat, and you do all etc. I mean, eat salad. You can do. I do think it's funny that people don't. People think you can't. Let's see what is Suba Suba. People think that you can't use them for things other than traditional Asian food, which is always kind of interesting. I always think it's interesting that like people cook with them. Has always been kind of fascinating to me because I definitely don't have nice. My chopsticks, I think, are a little too nice to cook with. Like I could burn them and they would do bad things. Let's see, what did Scuba Steve say? Not just chopsticks though. That'd be okay. I started using. Krieger says I started using them in 2013. Nicole, the one and only Nicole, my mistake. Um, you like sucking down big noodles. I guess so. I guess so. I get the implication you're going with. I'm not really worried so much about these things. Like, it's not a homophobic channel, so I don't really care if it looks. Would you like me to like deep throat this real quick to make your video thing, make your joke work better? I don't know. I don't care. I'm a grown man. I don't give a shit. We eat food and we talk. Your innuendos don't quite land as well on this. But that's okay. We all make dick jokes. It's just kind of expected. I I personally think they're funnier jokes to do, um, and that's why the dick joke has lasted for so long. Bam, I gave that to you, Nicole. For me, to you, to you. Um, no, I've always loved it. Like we went to this Sakura festival in DC back in the spring. It's like a cherry blossom festival. Just the small ones, says Scuba Steve. Nice. Let's see. Harold Hicks, what would you say your ethnicity is? Thank you. I'm a West Indian, Latino. That's what I am. That's my ethnicity, I guess, or my background. Um, yeah. My family is made up of a lot of Latinos, Black people, Indian people, and people from other parts of Asia, and a little bit of Native American people. The fun part about the world is everybody fucks. So there you go. I know that's not what people want to hear as an answer, but something about Kamala, Hindu, do I agree? I don't know what her religion is. Hindu is a religion. So, she's a West Indian kid. I mean, what do you want, man? She's from Jamaica. Her father's from Jamaica, her mother's from India. That's just the West Indies. That's literally just how the West Indies rock. Like, what do you think people do on Carnival? That's how you meet people. People fall in love. They have children. They get divorced on occasion, or they never marry, and that's Carnival. Like that's Carnival. My family comes from all over, so yeah, that's just the West Indies. That's what the West Indies are. Scuba Steve, pandering isn't a race. Kamala should know that. Not sure what that means. Let me see. Yes, West Indies. Yes, says Hicks. Um, I think in a lot of ways, people people try to find places where they can identify and where they feel like they can be home. So, do you see her interview by chance? I did not see her interview. I'm not a Democrat, not a Republican either. So I don't typically watch a lot of those things. Let me see. How do you do? How Sue Steve says, how she go from Indian to black? I mean, she's both. It's not really a complicated concept. She's both. Most people are more things than one. I think. I think that whiteness has given people the perspective that like they are simply a thing, an umbrella, and then in actuality, like if they were to go anywhere else in the world, they're Irish and Swedish, they're German and English, they're Russian and Chinese, they're all these things. They're just these things. Like America has this thing where like I think a lot of times white people think white, and then when other people from other backgrounds say they're Indian and black, they're like, "What? Yeah, pick one or the other." And it's like, no, you really don't though. Like it's pretty well it's a wealth of people. It's not that complicated. Well, they asked her about it and she refused to answer. I mean, it's kind of a weird question to ask, honestly. Like, how often in your day to day life do people ask you about your racial background? How weird would that be? We're all mixed people. You're all shades of brown. As a painter, I can tell you for a fact, you're all just fucking shades of brown. You might be lighter on the brown scale, you might be darker on the brown scale, but you're all shades of brown. All of you. Not one of you is not. Even the palest person is still just brown with a lot of white. You're all brown. You gotta let this shit go. These divides that people put up over skin and backgrounds are only holding you from great experiences, from the mastery of chopsticks, from great music, from incredible food, from amazing life experiences. You have to stop allowing yourself to be blinded by these things. There's nothing, nobody needs it. We just don't. We're all, not in an incestual way, we're all cousins at some point in time in the spectrum of the world. So it doesn't matter. It just doesn't. I think it's weirder. I think the weirdest thing for specifically Kamala is that it's a conversation that people keep wanting to have about her, and it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Like I personally really like and this is probably going to lose everyone here. I personally really like the socialist liberation. Like I think they have some interesting ideas. I liked Claudia, and I forget what the other lady's name is. Let me see. I'm sorry. I'm not following the chat. I'm sorry. Wait a sec. Steve Speaks says It doesn't matter till you are trying to use it for personal gain. This is true. Divided we fall. We're all brothers and sisters. Exactly. I agree. I agree. I forget what I was gonna say. That's actually a better statement. So we're gonna go with that. My big thing outside of all of this, let me see. Harold says only base her on politics alone, not a race. That's fair. Um, I think I think with the Socialist Party people that I was listening to, they had this really great idea that they thought instead of sending people off into the world to basically strike fear from the hand of America if you mess up or etc. It might be a better idea to take people who are reserves and whatnot and have them go around and build houses in America, plant farms, plant community farms, um, teach them trades so they're local and they're being paid by the government to fix cars and all these things. You know, like these are all skills that I think help people inside and outside of like service work. Or it's all service work. It's just not military service. Technically, what people think of military service work. I remember like a Pauly Shore movie called In the Army Now, and like literally all they sent them to do, they ended up getting in the firefight. But what they sent them overseas to do was to help build wells and set up water. And like there's parts of America that need that. So when I heard them say that for that platform, that really grabbed me and that made me feel really happy because it's a really good idea. Like anybody, like a lot of people join up with like I come from I have a big military family. I've never wanted to be in the military. Um, I think a lot of people would really they join the military because they don't have a lot of other options. They want to see the world and they don't have a way to go about that. Like at the best, if they can find a job, they're not going to find a job that's going to ever pay them or allow them to like travel the world. Like I look at some of the older people who I know currently who are retired and they're just now like traveling. They've waited their whole lives to travel. They're like 67. The average person doesn't even live to like 78, I think. Um, so it's just like such a short period of time. So if you could join something that's going to pay you, even if it's only minimum wage, is going to pay you to travel the world and see the world and experience all these things you never were going to get an opportunity to do, and you might have a possibility that varies on small to big on danger levels of the job, you might do it. Honestly, like there's like all these bonuses and all these things that people get. We're just water boys. We don't go to war. Yeah, I remember. See, you remember that movie? That was great. Um, it's just interesting. Uh, I cooked for the army for 3 years. That was 25 years ago, and I still get reenlistment papers. Exactly, type of thing. It's stuff like that. But I really love that idea that it was like, give these people like real skills. Like a lot of the guys I know who I grew up with were military photographers and cooks and musicians. They played like in the army band and stuff like that. Some were, more kind of, I don't want to call them grunts. Grunts feels disrespectful. Um, Cavalry doesn't sound right because they weren't on horses. I can't remember what they called them. Depending on which part of the military you're in, you have different things. Um, but I just thought it was interesting. It was an interesting idea. Where it's like, so you let them help the country, help the people who need it more than anything. It's not about rich people. It's not about making other people rich. It's not doing those things. It's hurricane relief. It's all those things. Like I really love that idea. Years upon years ago when Katrina happened, a buddy of mine went down there with his truck and a chainsaw, and he helped them clear debris for several days. When he came back, he just had tears in his eyes. He was like, it was just so sad. I wish I could have done more. He's like, I gave a guy a shirt off my back because he didn't have one. And I'm like, yeah, no, we should have a concerted effort of these people who can help these other people, like a help corps, if you will. It's just really beautiful. Like I just thought it was such like an amazing and beautiful idea, and it made my brain smile. You know, if that makes sense to anyone. Let me see. What I'm missing some stuff. Let me see. Scuba Steve speaks. Definitely a structure to make a lifelong friend and brother or sister. Good. That's beautiful. They probably would have got me to enlist if they had said that, actually. When they came up to my college and tried to get me to do it. In art school, nonetheless. I was like, no, none of us are leaving this to go do that. I agree. Let me see. Hicks. I agree with you about joining the military. My nephew traveled the world, became a deputy, and with the GI Bill was able to buy a house all by 26 years old. That's really impressive, actually. I know 46-year-olds who can't afford to buy houses, so that's incredible. That's incredible. Stupid Steve speaks. Me and my wife drove from. I can't see that one. In diapers when Katrina hit. Okay. Drove formula in diapers when Katrina hit. That's beautiful, my friend. That's beautiful. More power to you guys. I think that's the thing. Like we have to figure out how to let people be more giving, because I think it's like a human nature thing. Like I've done so many murals throughout the years, and the joy that it like gives like a community to get that opportunity, the small things, like Steve just said, they mean a lot. You know, it's just those things. I like to leave like sidewalk chalk, a box of like $5 sidewalk chalk outside sometimes when I see a group of kids playing. And I know it's like an area they're going to be in. So they leave, and then I just leave the chalk there. And I'm like, they'll have fun with it, and it'll be great. So we all watched the Olympics. We all saw that horrible breakdancer from Australia. There was a really great comment that one of the American breakdancers said. Logistics. Little Filipino girl. Amazing. She said that it's important that programs like breakdancing exist, much like the way I kind of feel about like arts and stuff, because there has to be something that kids who don't have a lot of money can express themselves in. So like I always find it really important to try and always kind of push the arts and trades and skills and stuff like that, because like yes, it's good that you can make a living with it, but you do need to kind of like feed your soul a little bit too, though. Like if you don't have money for video games and all this stuff, like you need to be able to have a good time and it not cost you $700 or thousands of dollars because you need TV. You know that stuff. Internet connection, TV, all these things to do everything. So I think it's really important to have those programs. And I like that idea. You know, I can't say about everything else that people say, but I'm big on ideas. That's probably the only thing I really love about the elections. You get kind of, you get like a long list of ideas from people. Some are crap. 2025 thing, put that in the crap bin. But the idea of like people helping people and people giving, just being willing to help one another is really important. Like I think that's beautiful. All right, I'm missing a conversation. Hicks says, yes, harmony is what makes life great. Agreed. Scoop Steve, even my wife is laughing at the female breakdancing at the Olympics. Hicks says, yeah, me too. Um, yeah, that was something else. I don't even know. I remember working in clubs and bars in the late '90s and the early 2000s. Breaking was still super strong. They'd have all these events at these dance clubs I work at, and you saw people come out from all walks of life to a breakdancing. And they had competitions and all types of stuff. I do find it funny though that a lot of people did not understand. They were like, they're so mean to this girl who's a horrible breakdancer. And I'm like, yeah, that's how breakdancing works. That is the culture of breakdancing. If you're bad at it, they will talk shit about you. That's how that works. Most things that don't have physical currency have a different type of currency. And credibility is a type of currency. You have to learn to kind of get good or deal with it. I was never a particularly great break dancer. I'm diabetic and I have joint problems, so it was never going to be a thing for me. But, if I had joined up and jumped in, they would have booed me nonetheless, just because, you didn't do a good job. That's what happens. Steve says, if it isn't on cardboard, it isn't breakdancing. Let's see. Hicks says, I think it should for sure exist for sure. But in Olympic sport, I just don't agree. I don't think they did a good job with it. I think the presentation was bad. I think if you go online and you watch breakdancing competitions, it's so more interesting. They tried to set it up like it was like something out of Gladiator on a high pedestal, and then people sitting in chairs on a lowered podium, and then judges, and it just Steve said it perfect. It felt like it was scrambled together, and it showed. The music wasn't particularly great until the men really got there, and even then, it was like halfway through the men being there. So, Hicks, I view the Olympics as sacred in a sense, but I do believe in adding sports to it, and they have. I grew up surfing. I was really excited to see surfing in the Olympics. It was not as good as like World Surf League. For those who don't know, every sport you watch has a league, has a national league of some sort. And yeah, I was talking to my friend Nora yesterday, and she asked me if I was a beach person or a mountain person because they're talking about camping. I'm not a camper. And I was like, nah, it's not really my thing. And she's like, beach person? I was like, beach person. She's like, I'm more like a woods camping person. And she's from Ecuador. And I'm like, that's cool. No, not at all. Not at all. My cousin used to call it make believe homelessness. That's what she used to call it. Which always made me laugh. Because I was like, yeah, a little bit. It's typically a luxury for some people. I mean, it looks beautiful. I definitely have a lot of friends who love to camp. They've been trying to get me to go for years. I don't want to. I just don't want to. It doesn't interest me. Plus, like growing up in South America, like there's a certain aspect of like the way the houses are set up. They have all these like There's a lot of like airflow stuff that goes on. So a lot of houses don't have AC. They have ceiling fans, and they have slats cut out of the houses and the walls, so the breeze can blow all the way through the house. So the idea of camping in a tent doesn't really interest me because it just kind of reminds me of like living in South America, which I loved, but it doesn't. It's kind of like it's a memory without really kind of reliving it in a way. If that makes any sense, I don't know if that makes sense. Let me see, Hicks. Yes, I agree. Watching the surfing, nowhere did it feel like big surfing competitions. Yes, exactly. Scuba Steve, surfing is dependent on weather and tides. They apparently didn't know that. Yeah, I mean, if you watch, there's a reason why like surfing competitions are like 3 hours long. Because you can just go and not have any waves for like 45 minutes to an hour. And it's just not that uncommon. Alright. So as I finish this, we're going to go through those paintings again that we did last time. And you guys are going to have to tell me which ones you like in the comments. So I know what to make prints for the show that's coming up in October. My sensor for my blood sugar. And so yeah, we're gonna go through that in a second. I'm almost done. We've been talking and I haven't really been eating. I forgot I made these spicy. All the spices were at the bottom. Oh god. It's more just like a dry spice. It's not really like it's hot. It's more just like, oh no. Oh jeez. Alright. We got that. Let me see. Hicks says, never ever been here before. I know nothing about noodles so far. Yeah, no, it's not a food show. I don't know what to tell people. Like they come in and they're like, I thought I was gonna learn about food and cooking, and it's like, no, it's not really about that. Sorry. But to be fair, I am honest about that. Alright, so like I said, I got this art show coming up in October, and I want to do some prints, but I'm not sure which ones I want to do yet. So I'm thinking of doing a few, maybe like 10 or 12 prints. And so my plan is to take some drawings that I've done. This isn't even like a 1% of the artwork that I've done in the last couple of years, but I'm trying to kind of figure out what direction I want to go with prints, because like for shows, prints are kind of one of those things that you do because like people don't really want to spend thousands of dollars at a little arts and crafts fair, but they do want to spend like $20 to $50. So rather than short sell all my paintings, it's like caught in my throat. Rather than short sell all my paintings for a small amount of money, what I want to do. Let's see, Scuba Steve. Scuba Steve says love an egg with the spicy ramen. Absolutely, absolutely. Let me see. Little guy. You want me to stop on anything? Just let me know. Yeah, they are. Scuba Steve asked, those are nice? I'm reading that out loud for myself. Watercolors and ink. Yeah, watercolors and ink, absolutely. I've been painting for over 40 years, so I have a very distinctive style, people say. And my larger work, which is like 5 feet tall ones, are pretty wild, and I might even sell a few of those, but they are significantly bigger and crazier than a lot of the other work that I do. So, yeah, a little BMO right here. And yeah, that's kind of the thing. So I'm working on that. I'm gonna have all those things going, and my big plan today is to set up some more kind of planning stuff. I got a meeting that I need to do with a company that I work with sometimes to try and figure out. We want to put together kind of it's a comic book shop I work with. They want to do a Halloween comic book cover contest for kids, and I'm gonna help facilitate that and get that going for them. And it'll be one of those things where you get to you submit your art, and the best ones get hung up in the shop thank you for Halloween. And it's just it's a fun way to kind of have like community projects. I think a lot of times it's just easier to just ask people to have fun. And then you introduce two groups of people together, and then they just rock. And they rock together for the rest of their lives, or at least for a while. So, if I can help kind of facilitate that, I'm on my way, you know? Let me see. Picks. So, you saying instead of selling small prints, you were thinking about something. You switched topics. That sounds like me. Let me see. Scuba Steve says, as a person learning tattooing styles is definitely a thing. Yeah, this is true. I have a lot of friends who are at own tattoo shops. So for Hicks's question, so I do small prints a lot of times because people, they can't really afford big art, you know? And I'm strong on the opinion as an artist who's been trained and been doing this for a really long time that you shouldn't devalue your art. You should never devalue your art. Your art should always be something that you hold at a very high esteem, and if you want to give it away, give it away. If you want to sell it for nothing, sell it for nothing, that's fine. But if you don't want to do those things, you shouldn't have to. But you should make your art accessible to the average person on a regular level. I always think it's weird when I go over to like people's houses or businesses even, and there's nothing on the walls. Nothing at all. You know, the most they have is maybe a mirror in their bathroom. And it just feels so cold to me, I guess, in a lot of ways. And maybe that's their aesthetic, but I don't know. I don't think I want to live that way. And I want to help people who don't want to live that way have that opportunity to do so. So that's what I'll do. Hicks, it sounds like instead of selling individual prints, you want to sell them in bulk. I'm just guessing. No, I'm going to sell them individually. I don't mind selling them one at a time. One per person. They don't have to go all at once. That's fine. It's not really necessary that they buy everything I have all at once. No. This is more just kind of, those are just some of the ones that I was thinking that I might make into prints. I realize I'm not necessarily being clear. Yeah, I think a lot of them really want some art, really want to be able to take some art with them, but they may not financially be able to do so. So I make things more available for those people. But I also don't sell artwork that took me days or months to make for $25. So it is how it is. I don't know. I just think it's interesting. I like it. So thank you everyone who joined me today. This is really cool. I really like this. I liked our conversations. Thank you, Hicks. Thank you, Scuba Steve. Thank you, other people. Nicole. Yeah, I'll see you next week. I'm Joao Blake, El Pintor, and I will see you next time. Have a great day, and enjoy your week. If you feel the urge, tell me what you had for breakfast in the comments. Pan around. Ciao.